Welcome to Fully In It, a show for visionaries, leaders, entrepreneurs, and those who know they are called to so much more. Join me, Kate Saffel, a mindset expert, multiple six-figure business coach, and a woman on a quest to show that anything you desire to create in your life is truly possible. This show is about going fully in it for you and the people you love by showing up powerfully in all areas of your life. Join me for regular inspiration and encouragement to follow your intuition, lead with integrity and heart, and live boldly every damn day. Hey, my loves. Welcome to episode 95 of the Fully In It podcast. So I'm recording today's episode outside because it is such a beautiful day and I really just wanted to get some of the sunshine. So hopefully there's not too much ambient noise, but let's go ahead and jump into the episode. So I wanted to talk to you all today about how to stay committed and how to practically keep moving forward on your life vision, even if you're facing circumstances of having limited time, limited energy, or little to no childcare. And I know that a lot of you in my audience are parents, and so we as parents face a lot of challenges when it comes to pursuing that thing that you're pursuing, whether it's writing a book, you're growing a business, you have a service, a product, or a mission that you simply want to share with the world. You are doing something that is calling you forward and you know it's going to make a difference for you, your family if you have one, and your people. But sometimes life can get in the way, and sometimes there are just simply challenges, or maybe you're just in a new season of life where you're having to really reevaluate how are you going to do all the things that you need to do and keep growing this thing that is so important to you. And I can definitely relate to this. This is my life right now as well. It has been in many different iterations of my life. So when I started my business, I was a work-at-home mom. I taught online for university, but I had 3 little kids and I really didn't have a lot of time to work. I really had to get creative. I was definitely low energy because I still had a nursing baby. And, you know, life with little kids is pretty tiring. I also didn't have childcare. And this really continued all the way until my youngest was about I want to say 2 or 3. Now I can't even remember when Kirk quit his job and then came home. But my youngest was still a toddler when I made the big jump up in my business. And I had to find ways to make it work. So I want to talk to you today about what are some of these ways that you can make it work, and also why this is so important to me right now. And I'm going to share a little bit more about that here in a moment. So when we think about having limited time, limited energy, limited childcare, fill in the blank with whatever the circumstance is for you, we have to pause and really think about, what does that word limited even mean to you? Now, unless we're talking about handbags or something else that's like a limited edition, I think for most of us, it can bring up a very specific set of emotions. How does it feel in your body when you think about, oh, I have limited time, or my energy is just so limited. I feel so tired all the time. I don't have enough help with the kids. How does that actually feel for you? So when we look at all of these variables through the lens of limitation, it will set you up to feel like what you have is not enough. And then that essentially becomes the lens through which you view your life and your ability to accomplish what you want. And I saw this so often when I was primarily coaching moms, is that they actually did have enough time. It might not have been a lot of time, but they had enough time. And they probably could have enough energy. And they could figure out what to do with their kids and how to take care of their kids and also take care of themselves. But they would get so caught up in what wasn't available that it would completely derail them, and then they would give up and just like throw up their hands. They would lose momentum, and then they would stop working on the thing that is important to them for weeks or months. And essentially this became a pattern. And ultimately, it meant that they may not ever do the thing that they wanted to do. Now, of course, like I would always support my clients to really see like, hey, this is what's actually happening. This is what's slowing you down, so that they wouldn't get stuck in it. But I'm sure you can maybe relate to feeling this way at some point in your life. So what we want to do first is really look at the situation with a very curious perspective, so that we can reframe it. So you want to look at the facts of your life right now and not add any meaning, any drama, any extra info around what actually is. So if you were to right now get a piece of paper and write down, like look at your schedule and write down, how much time do you have to work on your thing? And again, I know sometimes our brains like to make a big story about like, no, I don't have any time. Like there's nothing available for me. But what if you just got curious? What if you just looked at what's actually available? Same thing when it comes to your energy. You may think about yourself day to day and just think like, I'm always tired. I never feel like it. I don't have enough energy or stamina or motivation to do this thing. And then finally, when it comes to childcare or maybe some other circumstance, fill in the blank, that you feel like is limiting you, what is the actual truth and what is you feeling triggered by your circumstances? Okay, so let's get clear. And you can even ask yourself, is it really, really true that you have no time? Is it absolutely 100% true that you have zero energy? I mean, this would mean like you'd have to be in bed all the time. You would have to be like laid up. I can't do a single thing. Or is it possible that maybe you're frustrated because you're not getting to use your energy in the way that you want to, and you feel stretched? You're saying yes to too many things that you don't actually want to say yes to, and consequently it is just draining the hell out of you. So get clear on all of that. The next thing, the second step, is connecting back to your vision for why you are doing what you are doing. Why did you start this business? Why are you writing the book? Why are you launching the podcast? Whatever it is that you are so excited to work on, what is it about this that makes you willing to make some serious shifts at home and in your life? Sometimes we have to draw that really clear line in the sand of like, I'm actually 100% committed to this, because if you don't have the committed energy, you're going to sabotage yourself. You're not going to go all in on it. And then you're just not going to create the results that you want. So getting connected to your vision. Why does this matter? What does it mean to the people you serve? What is this going to create in the world? Why are you so committed to doing this? And that's going to help you with the next steps. Okay, so the third step I want to talk about is creating space. When you hear the word space, doesn't that like feel so good? I would wager that you, all of us here, would really like some more space in many, many different ways. And you having more time, more energy, more help with the kids, more of what you need does not come from living a cluttered life. Let that mean to you what it means to you. It's not always about stuff. It could mean that your life is cluttered with obligations and responsibilities. And when you have too much on your plate, it takes up your precious time. And if it's stuff on your plate that you're not excited about, this makes you tired, right? Because your life force is invigorated by you being aligned with activities that are meant for you, that feel good and light for you. But if you're doing a bunch of stuff that just feels like a should, it is going to drain you so freaking fast of your energy. So the easiest solution, and also the hardest, I recognize, is to let go of any responsibilities that don't lead to your vision. And I get the hard part about this is like telling people no, It is drawing that line, setting the boundaries, but you are the person who gets to do this for you and for your vision. No one is going to come to you and say, oh, you look like you have too much on your plate. Let's take it for you, right? Like nobody ever does that. You probably have people coming to you like, hey, can you take this off my plate? You get to prioritize what is important to you. The next piece of this with creating space is, if you have children, are your kids overscheduled? This is a throwback all the way to my simplicity parenting days of the importance of creating space for your kids and consequently for you. Here's what I know to be true. When our kids are overscheduled, there tends to be more behavioral issues because just like you and me, they don't want to be busy all the time. They get tired too. They crave downtime. They crave white space in their lives. But if we have them constantly going from thing to thing to thing, it is going to impact their mood and their behavior. So sometimes we think like, if I schedule my kids up a bunch, this is going to free up more time for me. But like really think about the cost of you overscheduling your kids. And does that actually make it easier for you to work when you need to? Or are your kids falling apart, having a hard time, needing more support? And again, nothing wrong with this because kids are being kids. But as the adults, we get to set the bar. We get to decide the narrative for our families and align it with our values. And then finally, physical clutter. I don't even think I need to go into this very much, but if you are finding that you're using a lot of your time and energy just to manage your home life, there's an imbalance. And that is impacting your ability to jump to your next level in whatever it is that you're doing. And so sometimes we need to actually pause, whatever it is that you're working on, your project, your business, your book, you need to pause it. Take a week or two to just go crazy on your house, declutter, organize, simplify, get it to a place of calm, and set up your system so that then you are going to have so much more time and energy to do what you actually love. But you have to be ruthless about all of this because you are your own best advocate and you are the one who can make this happen for you. Now let's talk about actually the time available and working with what you do have available for you. So you want to arrange your schedule around the time that you do have available. I know it's obvious, but it needs to be said because what I sometimes see happen is that you don't have a time in a certain block and you might hyper focus on that and tell yourself, I just can't get anything done. It's just not possible. It's just not happening. And all you're doing is reaffirming the narrative that you don't have enough time. So we want to look for those blocks that we talked about earlier in this episode. Look for the blocks that you do have available and find ways to make it work. Maybe you need to work in 20-minute blocks. Maybe you need to get up early, or maybe you need to get up or stay up later at night for a period of time to make this possible for you. The best thing you can do is see if you can find the sweet spot between when you have available time and when you have the most energy, and everybody's body is going to be different. For me, I'm a morning person. You guys know this? So I'm up 5, maybe 6 at the latest, and I am hitting the ground running. I've made my coffee and I'm working and I'm getting shit done. But for you, maybe you're more of a night owl and it's actually so much better for you to sleep in a little bit in the morning, take it a little bit slower. And then at night, if you have kids, you're putting them to bed and then you are cranking it out then. And I'll be honest with you, there was a season of life when I was first starting my business that I did both. And yes, I was tired. And yes, I drank a lot of coffee, but again, because of the vision of what I wanted to create, it was so worth it to me. And now at this standpoint of where I'm sitting today, I am so grateful that I did that. Another little note here on hustle versus rest. And I think we get into a lot of conversations online about hustle culture is toxic, but then I also see a lot online that there is such a push to rest. Give yourself all the rest, take it slow it down. We have to have balance between the two. Sometimes you're going to need to hustle. Sometimes you're going to need to push for it. Other times you're going to have to recognize when your body needs more rest, and that's okay too. The key to all of this is being in your intuition and listening to what you need most. So when it comes to childcare, I cannot fully advise on this because it's so particular to everyone's unique situation. What I can tell you are some of the things that have worked for me over the years being a homeschooling work-at-home mom. One of the things that I have done is I've traded with a friend, like a local friend who had similar needs, and we took turns swapping days, taking care of each other's kids and giving each other about a half a day to work. This was incredibly helpful because something is better than nothing. I also hired a neighbor girl from across the street. She was young and a homeschool kid. I think at the time she was 10 and so lovely and mature. And I'd have her come over and play with my son while I worked in the office. You could also find a block of time to work while they're at school. If your kids are at school, maybe it's on your lunch break. Maybe it is, like I said, in the evenings or in the mornings. And also, if you do have your kids home with you like I do, you have to be really diligent about your time and making sure your kids have something that they're occupied with if you're working while they're home. Now, we don't always probably want to turn to screens. I know that I'm totally guilty of that. I do that from time to time. But if I can set my kids up with a craft, a project, books, I feel so much better about working when they're doing those things. So it's really up to you to think about what is important to you and how do you want to manage raising kids and doing what you love. And above all, just know that none of this is ever perfect, right? Ever perfect. There is no perfect solution. If you're waiting for the most ideal circumstances to fall into place, I promise you're going to be waiting a really long time. The key is just to get in the mindset of I am willing to work with what I have, and what I have is more than enough. If that needs to become your new mantra, highly recommend just like tattooing that on your forehead and embodying that energy, because that is really what has helped me so much to be able to do everything I do with having my kids home all of the time. So let's talk about what's actually happening in my personal life that really prompted this. I haven't really talked a whole lot about the shifts that my family and I have made on social media. And I really want to share this part of my journey with you because so many of you have been with me for years. And I'm incredibly grateful that you have been sharing in this with me. My family and I are in a new season of life, and I've really redesigned my business and my life, all of the elements of it, to align with what our life is currently asking of us. So my husband, Kirk, actually took a full-time job here in Florida where we live. If you've listened to some of my episodes, he has been a stay-at-home dad the last 2 years while we traveled, and it was so amazing. It was so good for our family. But ultimately, he was really needing a purpose outside the home. He needed to do work that challenged him and that fills him up, and he's really grateful for and loving his new job, and I'm so happy for him too, even though this has caused some shifts for me. Like, I really had to make some tough decisions in my business and in my life to make sure that we are still aligned with our values, which is homeschooling our kids, and for me to continue supporting my clients in the way that I love to do so. I have been shifting my business over the last 6 months or so, even before I knew that Kirk was going to take this job. And one of the things that I did was I moved to primarily doing a membership model in my business. I'm not seeing as many private clients as I used to. I still am taking private clients if you're interested, but I am mostly serving my clients through the membership model or through group programs, and this allows me to help more women in less time. So instead of doing 1 hour-long call per person, I might have 7 or 8 women on an hour-long call. And the cool thing is that I'm seeing is that community is being formed, and these women are growing so much simply by hearing what the others are getting coached on. It's really kind of wild how sometimes you don't even know what you need until you hear someone else say the exact same thing. And on these calls that we've been having in the membership, we talk about everything. We talk about parenting, money, business growth, Instagram and social media, marriage, roles and responsibilities, it's like really freaking cool because they're all doing life together and they're all committed to growing together. I also get up, at 5-ish every morning, and I work for about 2 hours. This is really my time to get a bulk of content creation done. And then I will maybe do little spurts of work throughout the day as needed. If the kids are busy playing, I may do something on my phone or whatever I need to do. But I am homeschooling every morning except Thursdays when my kids go to farm school. And I'm actually really loving this. It's given me more time back with my kids. I'm putting my phone down. I'm enjoying being with them. And it's just feels like such a sweet season that I've gotten to move back into. Like I mentioned, the kids go to farm school once a week. It's just this incredible thing. There's a local woman here who has 5 acres. She has horses and chickens and bunnies and I don't know what else, but they're outside all day. And it's about, I think, 4.5, 5 hours long. And so I'm scheduling client calls during that time because I can see 3 clients on Thursdays while my kids are at farm school. They're having the most amazing time. I go to pick them up and they're just filthy and big smiles on their faces. And I'm so happy too because it gave me concentrated work time. And then our beloved babysitter / teacher, she's a retired elementary school teacher and she's a snowbird. She's back in town and she's going to be helping me for about 3 hours on Fridays. And I'm so excited to have her start. And then finally, Kirk is off on Mondays and Tuesdays. We're really trying hard to let this be family time. This is essentially our weekend because he's working through the weekend now. So I am not really overscheduling my Mondays and Tuesdays, but it is really nice to know that he is home if I need to get a little bit of work done. All in all, I'm not working a whole lot week to week, maybe 10 or 15 hours most. And I've learned to be insanely efficient, diligent, and ruthless with my time and my energy. Make the most of what I have available. I will say, though, that I did have a bit of an oops with our scheduling and this whole framework that I've kind of talked to you about on this episode. My oldest daughter does ballet, and it's already about 4 days a week. And against my better judgment, I agreed to let her do the Nutcracker because it is so important to her. And I know you probably understand this. It's as your kids get older, they have their own dreams. They have their own vision. And you're I want to support you in it. But also, this is adding so much more to our plate because now she has practice from 12 to 6 every Saturday until the middle of December. And it is killing us. Oh my gosh. We're spending all day Saturday driving back and forth. And I will definitely be happy when this is done, but it is always a reminder to me that sometimes things don't go perfectly and you have to say yes to things short term that maybe are a no long term. And once you realize that, it is up to you to then make the shifts to make it better for you and for your family. Okay, that's it for this episode. I hope that this was incredibly supportive for you, but I want to hear from you. It helps me so much to know how you are liking these episodes, what you want to hear more of, what really spoke to you and gave you that aha. You can always message me on Instagram at I am Kate Saffel, or leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen, and just let me know what you are loving about it, because that feedback, it not only helps me, lets me know that you're enjoying it, but it also helps other people know that the podcast is one that they should definitely listen to. And if you happen to share it on social media, I always love when you do. If you want to post a selfie of you listening to it or a screenshot of your player, make sure to tag me at I am Kate Saffel. That's S as in Sam, A, F as in Frank, F as in Frank, L-E. I know I've got the craziest last name, but it's what we've got. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time.